Let me ask you a couple questions. One, I want to congratulate you on that win you had over Purdue earlier in the year. Byron saying that the kids really bought in. Coach, tell us what that did for North Florida basketball.
I think, first of all, the culture that we've created here, we played 30-plus games against Power 5 teams, and you know, for us, obviously, it's a monetary gain for the program and for the athletic department that's enormous and has to be done. For the players, as the game is played, you know, it's an opportunity to play against guys they see on TVs and venues they see on TVs, against AAU guys who they played against quite a bit. But like everything else in life, it wears on you. You know, when you lose at Michigan State, you lose at Indiana, you lose at Ohio State, and you're getting beat pretty good, that stuff wears on you as well, too. And, you know, Northwestern, 3 minutes to go in the game, we're up 7, and I did a bad job coaching. I blew that game for us, and we lost. In this game, 3 minutes to go, we're down 7, and we end up, you know, going up 6. It's a tribute to the guys and the guys' ability to really go to another level and to play within themselves. So I think that win did a lot more for the guys' psyche and for the guys' understanding that, you know, you got to be resilient. It wasn't like we got lucky. It wasn't like we made a whole bunch of stuff we ain't never done. You know, we was actually losing and was able to come by and win handily. So to me, that's huge. And the other thing is, from a recruiting basis, obviously, when you got guys blowing it up on Twitter, there are Jeff Goodmans and Fran Paschellos and Doug Gottliebs and guys that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of millions of followers, Andy Katz, you know, that obviously creates a different bubble for you as well, too, so to speak. So to me, it's a double-edged sword.
You touched on something, Coach, that is very difficult for coaches that most people don't understand. They'll tell you get evaluated by the conference game, not by the money games. Well, your kids are getting beat up in those money games. How do you handle it mentally to be able to compete like that and then turn around and get them ready for the conference games and make them think you know what the heck you're telling them when you tell them this will work?
Well, I tell you what, someday maybe I'll make a lot of money talking about how we've been able to do that, because if you look at our record, you know, we've been very successful within our league. Plus, we played Northern Iowa this year. You know, they're top 20 in the country.
Yes, they are.
And the one thing we tell our guys, Coach, is we go in I tell our guys, we could do two things. We could say, let's go play the best we can. Let's make the greatest, you know, rah-rah effort we can possibly make. And then as soon as the game's over, let's go get a steak and let's spend some of the money, and then let's move on to the next game. Or we can prepare, coach, and go about it that way, like we would every single game that we're going to do every single night, whether it's Edward Waters, Trinity Baptist, or Weber, or Purdue, Alabama, South Carolina, whatever. And the guys don't want to go in there saying we can't, because that's not our culture. So we handle every game. Now, obviously, the key is not letting one loss lead to two. And that would be the best phrase I would have for you is we've done a really good job. Our assistants have done a really good job and coaching me through making sure that it is what it is. We learn from what we learn. We look at what we look. But most importantly, the next game on the schedule is the most important game. And, you know, that's been critical and crucial to our guys' understanding it's not the end all, and there's a greater plan and there's a greater purpose. Let's make sure we find it.
Okay. Well, okay, Coach. Let me ask you something else. We were discussing, and we've been in discussion about the tremendous athletes that reside in the state of Florida. Our athletic talent doesn't take a back seat to anybody, especially in some of our other sports, football, track, baseball, golf. What can we do to try to enhance the brand of basketball in the state of Florida? Because our athletes aren't quite up to par as they are in numbers as they are in some of our other sports. What can we do to make it better?
You know what, Coach Clayton? It's a great question, and unfortunately for you, I got a good answer for you.
Oh, that's what I want to hear.
I was in Texas at the University of Baylor for 6 years. We were a football state and still are. Texas still is pretty much a football state. However, about 2003 when I got there, they actually had more kids drafted in the first round. They had 6 go 1 year. And what people didn't realize is, and Florida's starting to go that way too. I think in Florida we've done a better job separating, getting basketball coaches to coach basketball as opposed to making them coach football and be a basketball coach, so to speak. So therefore, there's greater emphasis on fundamentals, there's greater emphasis on preseason and postseason skill work, and there's greater emphasis on basketball having an importance, so to speak. Secondly, I think that one of the best things we've done is our AAU programs. There are a lot and I know they let high school coaches coach AAU, which I think is critical because now those kids are getting consistency when those guys are being coached. And if you look at some of the most successful AAU programs, it's the coaching they have and the leadership they have is very consistent, so the skill level is raised. The one thing I don't think we do a good job is, I don't think, like, anytime your season is over in February in the state, I think that's an embarrassment. Like, how can basketball not be March Madness at Lakeland or wherever you're going to hold the state tournament? And to me, I think it does a disservice and a disjustice, and it sends a message to people and probably the kids at some point that, is basketball really that important, or is it just a midway, to make sure we get the spring football okay? And in my opinion, the first two things are what's really good, so two sugars, but the one lump would be, we've got to find a way to make sure that basketball has a sense of belonging, and these kids understand, because there are a lot of Division I players who are playing in the state and out of the state. And, like you said, it's getting better and better and better, and the athleticism. But they talk about, just look at our team alone. Dallas Moore is a beast, freshman of the year from Florida. Romello Banks is starting for us every game from Kissimmee. Bo Beach is from right here in Ponte Vedra, started every game of his career, and he's from Florida. Then you got Trent Mackey off the bench, who's the 8th best shooter in America from Tampa. So Florida has got a lot of really good players. To be freshman of the year, you got to be pretty skilled coming in. You can't just be an athlete. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely it does. I understand completely what you're saying.
Stay up to date with the latest from Insights. Visit our website at insights.com. 2 I's in the middle, INSIIGHTS.com.
Insights is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. The comments of the host and other individual speakers on Insights represent their independent thoughts and representation.